Lovely listener, welcome back to the programme. It is time for our paper review. And on such a solemn day, I must say I'm absolutely delighted for the oasis and little bubble of joy that is generally Benjy Potter, because I think we need our minds taken off these awful facts and figures as often as we possibly can. Benjy, welcome to the programme. Lovely to have you aboard.
Good morning, Vanessa. It's great to be here.
And you're starting, I think, in fitting fashion with the primary story of the day, which, as I've just revisited all the front pages, it's the awful milestone of over 100,000 deaths here in the UK to coronavirus.
That's right. The Sun's We Will Remember Them front page, which you mentioned just moments ago, harking back to some war memorials we may remember, lest we forget the heroes that came before us, the people that sacrificed their lives, feeling very similar to the sentiment that people will be waking up to today. Something which can only really be appreciated fully in print, but The Independent illustrated this stark figure with a clear spread with just 100,162 dots over 2 pages to illustrate the people that we've lost, the lives that we've lost. Very sad, very sobering, and I think at the same time, things coming out this morning, government sources, again, sort of talking about lockdown easing from mid-Feb, but talks beginning in mid-Feb. It seems like this coronavirus has been a flip-flop between remembering the huge loss of life and then also hoping and praying that we can get out of it soon, I think.
And you just wonder whether that's an impossibly difficult conundrum. When it's something that, cannot be achieved. It's either you stay in and the virus dwindles, or you go out and go back to work to make a living and for your mental health and for your child's education, and the virus spikes up again. It's incredibly, incredibly difficult, this path to tread, isn't it? And strewn with misery. Let's move on, though, to the welcome distraction. To me, it's welcome. Other people may think it's frivolous. I don't. I think it's welcome indeed to have some showbiz, tittle-tattle, trivia, entertainment news, just to distract, in the same way that lots of people are falling upon the BBC iPlayer or Netflix or whatever, or playing loads and loads of vinyl, just to get away from it, just to kind of, it's not really burying your head in the sand, is it? It's a distraction. It's a welcome escape. So talk us through the stories you've chosen, Benjy.
Absolutely. Vanessa, I knew you would enjoy this one. Elizabeth Hurley posted a photo, think it was the night before last. Did you see it?
Well, it was in the snow, wasn't it? So it was probably I thought it was Sunday morning or Saturday afternoon or so. And it's the bosomy one, you mean?
Yeah, taken when the snow came, but it was posted, I believe, on Tuesday night. Yeah. So this is, for listeners that haven't seen this is a bosomy photo, really quite risque, I must say, taken by Elizabeth Hurley against her garden gate. Now, she said before that her son Damien, who's early 20s, takes her risque photo. So she said that before. So the assumption was that he'd taken this one. Well, no, listener, that's not correct, because Elizabeth Hurley came out to defend herself. She said, my son has not taken this photo. It was actually my 80-year-old mother.
And I mean, there's always an underlying whatever to this, and that not a health condition, but an underlying wish to sell her bikinis and line of swimwear. That's one of the reasons that she always appears in them, isn't it? She's always kind of flogging her swimwear line. So people thought the whole thing was extraordinary. Piers Morgan particularly gave her an absolute drubbing over this, didn't he? Number one, it's snowing, it's freezing cold. So what do I want to do? I want to put on my bikini and stand naked by my garden gate. Number two, I want to sell more swimwear. And number three, something else that's been identified in the papers today is, celebrities desperate for attention, because in the old days all you had to do was come in, go out, walk up a red carpet, walk into a restaurant, come out of a shop in the King's Road or wherever you were, sit on a boat in Cannes, and you get your picture taken. Now nobody cares, no one's going anywhere, there's nowhere to go, so you've got to get almost completely naked, just barely covering your nips, and get your 80-year-old mum to take a picture of you in a bikini in the snow. It all gets a bit desperate, don't you think?
Yes, in the celebrity index under Elizabeth Hurley, it also says see Amanda Holden, see Lizzie Cundy.
Right.
So that trio have been guilty in lockdown of desperately seeking attention. Although I have to say they fall into it totally the different category of influencers jetting to Dubai for work, quote unquote, work reasons and quote unquote mental health.
I was wondering whether that has begun to backfire on them or whether people are still, diverted by it. I mean, all those kind of Towie characters and all the other reality TV, contestants, I won't call them stars because I'm not sure they really are, who've gone off to Dubai saying it's work and then have just posted pictures of themselves on beaches in bikinis at various hotels and whatever it is. I mean, has there become a point where the potential audience is fed up with it, jealous, cross and, feels betrayed?
Totally. So a friend of mine who works on The Sun, Joe Casper, actually did an analysis of their social media accounts to say that some of them have lost up to 20,000 followers over going to Dubai. And that is really hitting them where it hurts, right? Because these followers equal product, brand deals, the whole lot. Yep. And on This Morning yesterday, they had someone live from Dubai. Holly and Phil were criticised for not being journalistic enough about it and giving and holding this influencer enough to account on social media, but equally they still had her on, they still examined her and presented the facts to the audience saying this is an influencer in Dubai who's here because of quote unquote mental health or work or whatever, make of this what you will.
Yeah, and what did she actually say for herself? She said, I'm here, posting pictures of myself in a bikini, which is my job and therefore I'm allowed to do it for work.
Exactly, totally. Right. And I think, it doesn't really wash well with people. Must quickly add on Elizabeth Hurley, though. One aspect of this story which quite tickled me is if you have a look at the responses on Twitter, lots of blokes are offering to go round and paint her garden gate.
Yes, the gate's a bit rusty. Lots of people said a bit of WD-40 on the gate. That's what's really needed. And other people commented on the cardigan, which is also hilarious. Not the boobs and not the bikini, but the cardigan, which is a bit Starsky, isn't it? From Starsky and Hutch. It's one of those kind of slightly kind of over knitted cardigans. All right, let's move on. I think maybe we're enjoying this too much.
I know,
don't you think, Benjy? Let's move on. Now, this looks like a potentially extremely sad and toxic story. And I don't even know how to pronounce that actor's name, but I'm sure you do. Tell me what he's called.
Yeah, Johan Griffith. So he was the star of ITV's Liar. Yeah. And it's quite an extraordinary story. So it's a very public modern day split being played out on Twitter. Where basically Alice Evans, his wife, posts on Twitter completely out of the blue to say, my husband's left my family. He's announced he's to leave his family starting next week. Me and our young daughters are very confused and sad. We haven't been given a reason except that he no longer loves me. I'm so sorry.
So sad.
Yeah, it's just a terribly tragic
some
story.
People will say, why has she done this in public? Why has she made it a tweet rather than, something that she phones her friends or her mum or someone she knows to talk about? What's your theory about that, Benjy?
Well, what's quite interesting is there was a follow-up tweet where she'd explained that she'd been gaslit, which is a term that explains when a partner would make you feel guilty of something you haven't done.
Well, it's not so much make you feel guilty, if you don't mind my correcting you, it's much more make you feel as if you've gone round the bend. So you say to your other half, I think you're having an affair. You keep taking your phone with you to the bathroom. This woman keeps showing up at the garden gate, or someone keeps putting the phone down every time I answer it, or whatever it is. And they answer, you're mad, you're crazy, you're imagining it, you must be a lunatic, you're insane, or something like that. And they try to make you feel as if you're crazy and it's your fault, and the person who's going off the rails is you and not them. And it's quite a familiar procedure, this gaslighting. And then, of course, what always happens in the end is it turns out that whatever you suspected is true, and you were far from mad. Actually, you were completely on it. And your other half was trying to make you feel mad and crazy and doubt yourself. It's that kind of thing. And that's what she's saying is going on, isn't it?
That's quite right. And she followed this. So she wrote in a follow-up tweet that she was being gaslit. And the tweet got deleted, and she explained that he has access to her account, her Twitter account. So all manner of kind of twists and turns in this public split that makes you potentially think that maybe actually this tweet was a cry for help, and she's kind of not feeling like she has the kind of power to talk to friends and family about it right now.
Exactly.
So yeah.
I mean, people will remember when Nigella Lawson was photographed with Charles Saatchi's hands around her throat outside Scott's restaurant in Mayfair. And, I think many people felt that this was the catalyst which enabled her to leave the marriage, that she, it was now public. People knew about it. If she stayed, it would look very, very strange. It would impact, other people know what's going on behind closed doors. Then sometimes you could act in a way that you wouldn't if it was continued to be hidden. But I don't like the idea of somebody taking tweets off somebody else's Twitter account, even if it is your husband or wife. Do you? I don't like the sound of that one bit.
It feels like a gross breach of
Doesn't sound
trust.
right, does it? Not really.
Yeah, not at all.
Now, this is your column from today, and it's all about the show which is called It's a Sin, and there's a fabulous picture of it. Tell people what this is about if they haven't already seen it.
It's a Sin is the drama you must watch. It's about the 80s AIDS epidemic set in London by the writer of that other seminal drama, Queer as Folk, and he's also written A Very English Scandal.
Oh, I love that. That was brilliant with Hugh Grant as Jeremy Thorpe.
Yeah. Brilliant.
That was fantastic.
And also spent much of his life, Russell T Davies, writing Doctor Who. And it's quite frankly nothing short of a masterpiece. But I won't spend all the time fawning about it. It really, my column is about watching it with my parents. If you're sort of similar age of me, moved back home during the pandemic, I'd recommend probably watching it alone.
How was it watching it with your parents? Tell me.
Well, there's quite a lot of sex in it. And I think there is still a bit of seeing homosexual sex scenes on TV can still feel a little bit strange and new to people, even my family. But actually, even though that moment felt awkward, I'm glad we watched it together, because I think up until now, and people may disagree, but I think up until now, the LGBT's kind of experience of the AIDS epidemic has been something that's been very much kept in our community and shared among our community. And when I'm speaking to a lot of heterosexual friends that weren't around in the 80s, they actually don't know the struggle we went through, and they don't know our experience of it. So I'd recommend anyone to watch it. It's got someone in it for everyone: Stephen Fry, Tracy Oberman, Neil Patrick Harris, and a brilliant young up and coming cast who lead the show.
And what would you say, Benjy, to those who think, gosh, we're already in a pandemic? The last thing we need is to look at another illness that was killing people in heartbreaking numbers. That we want something fun and frilly and frivolous, and we want to watch somebody looking at dolphins, or we want to watch somebody on a boat fishing. What we don't want is somebody ill and dying. We've had enough of that. We've got too much of it.
Yeah, I mean, in a weirdly sadistic way, because AIDS wasn't, they couldn't work out what it was for so long, and people were so ostracized, it makes us strangely grateful for the fact that it's taken us a relatively short amount of time to find a vaccine and really try and clamp down on our epidemic.
Thank you very much for talking. Just always a ray of sunshine. That's Benjy Potter, the showbiz reporter from The Sun there. You're listening to BBC Radio London. Coming up from 10, Robert will be here with your notes and queries. Still to